By this point, Drake had gone from basements to condos. He had a penthouse in Miami, an extravagant one St. Thomas apartment, but after two tours, he amassed enough to put down for his own property, deciding to settle into a Hidden Hills home for a conservative $7.7 million dollars in 2012. He added two neighboring properties for another $7 million, dollars, having the lot now span over 6.5 acres. Referred to as the YOLO Estate, it's fit with a home studio, customized with a 25-seat home theater, a basketball and tennis court, a mechanical bull, a water slide and waterfall, a swimming pool with statues of voluptuous women on their knees. Alright. A wet bar and whatever else you could possibly imagine. It's incredibly nice, alright? I'd find myself lost while trying to rob it. But that pales in comparison to his other property just a few zip codes down, a Beverly Crust mansion he bought for $70 million dollars in the beginning of 2022, the largest property in that area. The property has 10 bedrooms for $70 million, dollars, 22 bathrooms, and 27 toilets. Who the fuck even needs that many? Matter of fact, who needs four homes that are only 40 minutes away from each other? Also, he's not even home half the time. He's either on tour, at the studio, or in other cities. You see how dumb his spending habit really is? After buying the home, he decided it was best to move out of LA. Drake put up all three homes of his yellow estate up for sale, two being sold to Matthew Stafford of the LA Rams, and one to a private buyer, totaling about $23 million dollars and almost 65% return on investment. The same cannot be said about his Beverly Crest mansion, which sits abandoned on Zillow, listed for $88 million, dollars, which, if sold, can provide $4.8 million dollars to the homeless population there, and 27 toilets for them to use. But unfortunately, it's yet to be sold, even when relisted during the whole Kendrick saga. Los Angeles was never Drake's real home, which is why in 2015, for $6.7 million, dollars, he purchased a 2-acre property in the Bridle Path area of Toronto, opting to demolish the already built mansion there and construct his own that would stand firm for 100 years, which, by the looks of it, isn't very likely. The mansion itself is absolutely insane. It's 50,000 square feet with a NBA regulated court inside, an indoor basement swimming pool that's very uneasy on the eyes, toilets that play Tupac's Hit 'em Up every time you open it up. I mean, best I can give you are 12 frame Drake albums to look at while you poop. But if you want to see the mansion for yourself, go check out the cover art for Kendrick Lamar's Not Like Us,
Oh
or check out
shit!
the interactive house made for the site Drake Related, which serves mostly to promote his merchandise. The issues don't lie within the house. Instead, it's always been from the outside. When constructing the mansion, they came into a problem. Bystanders would often wait outside wanting to take pictures, which was freaking Drake out. But the city had to give special permission for the tall fences he needed. So we went with Plan B, planting very tall cedar trees for $1 million. dollars. Drake's only opposition was the lawyer who shared property lines with him, believing that the brick wall would be an eyesore and would cast an excessive shadow. The city did grant him permission to build those high fences, but it did little to keep the intruders out, or the water that recently flooded his mansion. Over the years, Drake had some serious break ins, starting with that YOLO estate, where kids often stole the YOLO sign outside, which he found to be rather cool, not really blaming them. Odell Beckham Jr. recalls a time where fans were trying to break in at 7 in the morning, where he had to keep it cool before calling security and having them kicked out. In the early morning of April 3rd of 2017, a particularly thirsty woman broke into Drake's estate, locking herself into a room, wearing Drake's hoodie, and drinking a bottle of Fiji water, a Pepsi, and a Sprite, with no evidence that she did anything else. There were no signs of forced entry. No one knew how she got in, but she was arrested, charged with residential burglary, and was placed on a $100,000 bail, with Drake's team intervening, cutting her a break. This woman was Drake's stalker, showing up at his estate a few months later saying she was on the list. When that didn't work, she refused to leave and security called the police, where she became more aggravated, spitting on three deputies before being pepper sprayed and arrested for trespassing and assault. Surprisingly, in August of 2021, the stalker filed a $4 billion lawsuit against Drake, accusing him of defamation and invasion of privacy, doing so without any lawyer by her side. So the judge dismissed this in quick fashion, invoking the Questionable Lawsuits Act. Drake didn't know her name, what she looked like, or the fact that she broke into his house 4 years ago, saying all this was frivolous and that she was delusional. In court, Drake had provided documents of the harassment he received from her, mostly death threats to his baby mama and son, claiming she's only doing this to speak with him. For reasons unknown, the stalker filed a restraining order against Drake, which she didn't get, due to the 3 times she's been arrested on his property and the 5 to 6 times she was arrested for assaulting his fans. Drake filed for a counter restraining order, which he was granted, but only for 3 years. The whereabouts of his stalker remain unknown, with the last information we have of her being arrested for battery on a police officer. In July of 2017, a man climbed up the hidden hills, get it, around Drake's backyard to gain entry into his property, being noticed by a security guard who ordered him to leave. The man became aggressive, having the cops be called on him, and being arrested shortly thereafter, being charged for trespassing. In March of 2021, a woman headed to the embassy armed with a knife and a metal pipe, shortly being stopped by security at the front gate. She allegedly struck one of them with the pipe before being subdued, arrested, and charged with assault and trespassing. Drake was home at the time, but luckily she wasn't able to take one step inside the compound, and there were no injuries. In July of 2022, a 23-year-old man broke into Drake's Beverly Crest mansion, being shortly spotted at the pool house. One question, the man claimed Drake was his father and that he was simply waiting for him to come home, implying that Drake was a father at the age of 12. The man was arrested for misdemeanor trespassing, not getting very close to the main house, but even if he did, Drake wasn't home. Matter of fact, he wasn't even in the country. During that time, he was out in Sweden promoting his latest album when, after partying, he'd returned to his hotel to find a knock at the door. There's a few recounts of what happened. Some say he was detained, but his team denied any rumors that he was arrested. For one night straight, all of Twitter was using the hashtag #FreeDrake, with DJ Academics leading the forefront. But Drake posted a series of documents showing that he was just suspected of a crime. What crimes? Well, blogs speculated that Drake was under suspicion for kale salad related charges, but he never faced any serious consequences like ASAP Rocky did. However, he's not gone back since. There have been numerous break ins to Drake's homes, but they've mostly been unsuccessful, as per the January 2023 case when a man successfully broke into his home, stole a few things, but was caught by the LAPD down the street. Most recently, his problems have only escalated further, all due to the Great Rap War. During the Battle of the Bastards, Drake's embassy was reported to have been broken into at least 3 different times. Twice by the same person who just wanted to get his bike back. And then the embassy was shot at, with his security guard getting seriously injured and hospitalized. Imagine having a $100 million mansion that you simply cannot enjoy. You can never be home alone. Security would always need to be on the property 24/7. There's people banging on the walls outside. There's a chance that it could flood. And on top of that, he'll never be able to sell this property since it's fitted to his exact needs. A similar situation to Michael Jordan's mansion. So, interestingly enough, I wrote that joke in about a month ago. Guess what happened? He sold his house like after 12 years, bro. Dead ass. After how, bro? I just made the joke. I couldn't even make the joke. I couldn't even do it. I didn't even have the opportunity to do it. He ruined it. Now imagine having the world's worst security team. We'll take Drake's for example. Besides them constantly beating people up for no reason, they've never thought about online security. That's why this video is sponsored by... Nah, I'm kidding, we don't get sponsors. But his dad reported receiving odd and disturbing phone calls, opening up a police investigation with nothing really being done about it, and Drake's personally been robbed a few number of times. In May of 2009, while heading to his parked SUV after leaving a restaurant, 2 armed men pulled up on Drake and the woman he was with, drawing their handguns to his face demanding that he give up the chain Lil Wayne gifted him, an AP watch, and about $2,000. They hopped into their getaway car after a man intervened, but they drove the wrong way onto a one-way street, leading to the arrest of both men, one of them named, I kid you not, Socrates. The two men were arrested, charged with armed robbery and possession of stolen property, but through twisted street logic, he was called a snitch by Toronto rapper Sizzlack due to cooperating with the police. Instead of holding his ground and having these criminals booked bettering society, Drake opted to drop all these serious charges against the gunmen, saying he was set up by the woman he was with. From that day forward, he never touched the road without a plug. He never saw the point in talking tough. And it hasn't happened since. Just kidding. In September of 2016, during the Summer 16 tour, his bus was robbed, losing about $3 million worth of jewelry. The thief was shortly apprehended when he tried assaulting a woman after breaking into her ASU dorm, causing security concerns at the university. The jewelry was shortly recovered, but it didn't belong to Drake. Instead, reports say it was either Future's, who was co-headlining the tour, or Drake's DJ, Future the Prince.
Drake, what do you have to say to the guys that robbed me, man? Nobody robbed me. Huh? Nobody robbed me. That's all. Well, they got that man arrested, you know what I mean? Say what? They have that man arrested.
Thank you very much. That's enough. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you very much.
In either case, the thief faced 1 year of jail time plus 5 years probation, and is currently a nursing student who at one point thought it was okay to enter random rooms for sexual encounters. In August of 2018, while on the Aubrey and the Three Amigos tour, they stopped by a hotel in Kansas City where their tour bus was shortly towed away, but not for violating any city guidelines. The media speculated it was due to the tour bus being repossessed, with it being quite an embarrassing moment for the owner of the bus company and Drake having to postpone some dates. When the sanctity of your own home is constantly being invaded when your tour bus can go missing at any point, you start developing this fear of the streets. And for Drake, he saw one escape. The skies. In 2019, Drake was given a $185 million private plane through Cargojet, seating 30 people with a custom paint job from Virgil Abloh. You'd expect some form of privacy 30,000 feet up in the air, right? No. In July of 2022, an automated Twitter account was designed to track his flights along with other celebrities, finding that Drake often takes short flights, some under 30 minutes. One was apparently 7. The private jet industry often emits more greenhouse gases than some countries. That's hundreds of people ruining it for billions. But don't you bring that up to Drake, he will tell you that it's them moving planes to another airport to be parked. A very plausible statement for someone who doesn't care about their environmental impact. An empty jet flying is much worse for the environment than flying a book jet. What brought Drake to the conclusion that this would be an appropriate response? I'm not really sure. He's never been the brightest when it comes to climate change. He has so many cars that they collect dust. What a flex to those with bad credit card debt.